Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the rise of the micro brands.
Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm.
All right, so on today's show, I am excited. We have a returning guest, influencer, e-commerce expert, Maayan Gordon. And Maayan has just a few followers, like 2 million followers. Not so shabby, huh? I've got like one or two, but she's got 2 million followers. So she is an expert. She is an influencer. She's been on the show and I learned a ton the last time she was on. So before we get to that, just Kelsey, where are you?
Here I am. Hello.
Okay, so Maayan actually told me about this part. Smashing likes, asking people to subscribe.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Smashing the like button,
Smashing
sharing the
those
videos,
likes, getting those people.
Call to action. Yeah.
Call to actions. We owe it all to her.
Yeah. Yeah, we've come a long way since then.
Yeah, but you know what? A lot of what we've done and a lot of the improvements that we've made have come from Maayan's recommendations. So, I'll tell that. I'll let her know how much we appreciate her when she comes on.
Yes. So yeah, if you're new to the show and you want to check out the past shows, or if you come in a little late, you can always go straight to our YouTube page. All of the full episodes go straight there. Full size clips and any mini clips, highlights, all the good stuff, all the good little nuggets. We are a podcast too, so you can find us on Apple and Spotify. And let us know how you guys are doing. Go ahead and post where you're posting from, where you're watching this from in the comment section. We'd love to know. I can see that Tom is already joining us. Hello, Tom.
All right. Hey, Tom.
How are you? We do have a little giveaway today, so you guys will have to stick around for that. We got Rad. Hello, Rad. Welcome.
Rad.
Okay, and I know we have a couple things just to touch on before we get started. The two.
Yeah, so let's talk about them. So there's two things that are happening that are very important this week. The one we touched on last week, and I think it's important that we mention it again. So there's a 12 Days of Nuggets that was put together by Mike Zagar. He was on the podcast last week, and he was talking about an event that he's been doing. He's brought together like 70, 80 Amazon sellers or e-com sellers that are dropping nuggets. And I don't like the word nugget, but you're not waiting 45 minutes to get a piece of information. It's like a 5 to 10 minute. You get it, you get in, you get out, you learn. And this is for a really great cause called Operation Underground Railroad. And what the purpose of this is to stop child slavery. And if you don't know, there are 2 million cases right now of missing children in the U.S. And anyways, he got into it on the podcast, and he talks about, what they're doing and how they're trying to stop slavery, child slavery in the U.S. and around the world. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. Check it out. It's really cool. The other one is on the 18th. There is Festivus with Melissa Simonson, another friend of the show over at Empowery with co-host Tim Jordan. Now, Tim is my partner at Centurion League. So anyways, it's going to be great. And I think Maayan's going to be on it as well. So anyways, it's just more fun. It's networking. It's the whole day. So check it out. We'll put the tag in there, or the link in there. And let's see. Oh boy, we do have a bunch of people on here. So hey, Tom, Rad, Marcia, Simon, Victor, you're back. How are you, sir? Darwin, Peter. Okay, so welcome everybody. Oh, Yarrow's here too. Great.
Fantastic.
And this is everything that Maayan told us. Build a community. And we have been trying and providing content. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. So let's get to today's podcast. Shall we, Kels?
All right.
All right. So, hey, look, if you have any questions, throw them over to the comment section and we will get to them as soon as we can. If we don't get to them, we'll get to them. If we don't get to them during the podcast, we'll get to them into the group. All right. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee and enjoy this show. And where's Maayan?
Hey,
There
how's
she
it
is.
going?
How are you?
I'm doing really wonderful, thank you. How are you doing?
Great. I'm smashing. I'm
You
hitting.
Smash that like button, you guys.
You do
Hit
it
that
so well.
subscribe.
You go ahead and do that. You do it so well during your live. I watch your live on LinkedIn all the time, and you're so great at that. But you're really one of the people that helped us improve this podcast so much, just by telling us little things that we can do to improve and to build a community. So first of all, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to see. I mean, the congrats goes to you guys for taking action on the suggestions.
Well, I'm going to pass that to Kelsey. I do nothing. So, hey, Maayan, why don't you tell people that don't know you a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so just I'd say the quickest snippet of understanding who I am is I grew up in a very traditional home and family, education, go to college. I went to college, did the education thing, but in college realized it wasn't for me, dropped out and got into entrepreneurship. I got into it through copywriting and really found this deep love for writing and just communicating online. And then that transitioned into marketing as I started up my own businesses and realized that without any money for an advertising budget, I had to get creative with social media and content creation. And that led me all the way up to this past year when I had a really high amount of success on TikTok, growing my account from 0 to 2 million followers. And then subsequently on LinkedIn as well, building a pretty substantial community of more than 30,000 people.
Wow. And you built this community. Was it around your company? Was that the reason why you went on? Like, I know that what is the name of your company? It's
which one? No. So I have two businesses that I'm actively running right now. One is my glass blowing business.
That's the one.
Which is the DBA name of it is Monkey Boy Arts, but we've kept the same actual business name since I started at my first business, which is 2K Industries LLC. But that's really not attached to any particular brand that I'm developing. That's just 10 years ago, the name we came up with for, and when I say we, me and my husband, that we came up with for our business, and we just stuck with it the whole time and just changed the DBAs as we switched industries.
Okay. But you did build this social network around that. Is that correct?
Initially, yes. So up until this past year, literally, I would say October of 2019 is really when I started making a push towards my personal brand. And with that, starting to do consulting and services around marketing. Before that, everything was attached to my glassblowing brand and that business and just building up community around that. And it's been really interesting seeing the differences in building community that's centered around product compared to community that's centered around information and a different type of value. Products certainly have value, but it's a very different type of value than education or empowerment or inclusivity, let's say.
Okay. Well, let's dig into this. Let's start off with a simple question. What's your favorite social media platform right now?
Right now, I'd have to say probably Quora, which a lot of people might not consider a social media platform. But right now, and to give everyone context, my favorite changes at least every month based on the results and kind of the activity and what's new and what's not new and what's old and getting boring. But I'm really liking Quora right now because one, it's a new platform I'm trying and I just really enjoy trying new things. Two, the results I'm seeing are pretty good and interesting for the little amount of effort that I'm putting into it. So if you haven't checked out Quora as a platform yet, check it out.
I used to use Quora years. I'm talking, I almost want to say 10 years ago, but probably 10 years ago, I used to use Quora and the questions would come up, you'd answer them, and then you'd become the authority, right?
Yep.
So that's really similar to, press releases. So, people are searching out your name, or a keyword for press releases or for content. And guess what? If you're shown on Google, you become that authority. And to get sales, you need authority to get trust to get sales. And that's the same thing with Quora. So, you answer these questions, you become the authority. If you're the authority, you get the trust. So, that's great. I have not looked at Quora in a long time. Kelsey, new social platform for you.
All right, I'll write it down.
Yeah, we'll get some tips from Maayan even after the show. Okay, how's that? Okay, so what after Quora? What's your next best platform?
My next would probably be TikTok right now, just because I'm enjoying the creative aspect a lot, and kind of being forced to come up with new ideas outside of what I've already posted. Being able to adapt certain ideas into a 10 or 15-second video style for me is a really fun creative challenge.
Okay. We always talk about value. So it's so important when we go onto social platforms to create value. Many new or even advanced sellers still just promote. What can businesses do, and why is it important to create value, and what can businesses do to add value?
Yeah, so I think, creating value and adding value has a lot to do with what you just talked about, which is building trust. We really just naturally trust people who have given us value for nothing seemingly that they want in return. Now, there might be hidden agendas, and generally with a business, the hidden agenda is that they want to sell you something, and it's maybe not so hidden. But at the same time, being able to provide value without having a sale immediately attached to that promotion or that information that you're sharing can really be helpful in terms of people just liking you. Like, no one likes someone who's just trying to sell them stuff all the time. And in general, we don't do business with people or entities that we don't like. So if you're trying to build up a community, if you're trying to build up a group of people who like you and are more likely to buy your product or buy your service, giving them value is a really excellent way to do that. And the way I kind of think about it is, make a friend, make a sale. So first you have to make a friend. And a great way to make friends is by giving people value.
Wilford Lightheart always told me you have to get engaged before you get married.
Yep.
So, what about tools? Any tools that you could recommend to help people out?
Yeah. So there's a lot of different tools that I use and that I come across. A couple that I'll just spit out real quick would be Splice on your iOS device for quick video editing on your iPhone. That's one that I use.
Is that for TikTok or is it for any?
You can use it for anything.
Okay.
I'll use Splice to edit videos for LinkedIn. It has a reformatting feature. So even if you take the video in horizontal, but you want it full vertical, you can kind of switch the dimensions of it. You can add text, you can add music. It does a lot of different things, and it's very quick and easy to use. So I like Splice. One that I have my virtual assistant use for any video where I have captions is Veed.io. It's Veed.io, and that's a kind of just caption adding software. I use Buffer to help schedule some of my LinkedIn posts. I probably should use it more also for Instagram, but it's just right now I've got a lot of new projects along with existing projects, and balancing them has been a little bit tricky this past month. Let's see, other tools would be, Calendly is amazing. I use Pipedrive for my CRM. Let's see, I use Kartra as my website platform. So I think tools are the best. Find the tools that work great for you because they're going to make your life so much easier, much more efficient, and can add a little pizzazz that maybe other people don't have.
I've heard, and I don't know why, but people are telling, when I talk about social media and trying to schedule Hootsuite, they said, if you have a business account, don't use Hootsuite. And I don't know why. Can you explain that?
I'm not as familiar with Hootsuite. Do you mean Hootsuite as the example or specific Hootsuite?
It could be Hootsuite. It could be Post Planner. Any of those type of products that schedule your products or curate your products. That basically you see it gets posted by Hootsuite or whatever.
Oh, yeah. So if it says it's posted by Hootsuite instead of saying that it's posted by you, then it looks like it's less genuine, I would say, some of the time. That's probably part of why I like Buffer, is it doesn't do that. There's no indication that the post was posted by Buffer unless it's a video. So video content's different because they have to store the video in like a cloud, I would assume, and then it gets transferred from the cloud. But when you're posting pictures or text content, people can't tell the difference between you posting just like in the moment or using Buffer as a scheduled post. So I like that about Buffer. I think, where in general a lot of this anti-planning platform messaging is coming is from Gary Vee, who routinely people have kind of asked him, hey, so I'm trying to use this, Buffer tool. Do you have any advice? And he's like, don't do it. Don't ever do that. Don't do it. And I think a lot of people, like to listen to Gary Vee. He's certainly an authority. But I haven't necessarily heard a good reason other than he thinks that you should do it to be more in the moment and learn from it and observe from it more. For me, and I think a lot of people who social media is not their full-time thing.
Right.
They've got a full other business. Like maybe they also have kids. Like they have to be smart with their time. And if, using a post planner can save you hours and hours every single week that you can put into different parts of your business, that you can put into different parts of your life that really matter. I think that's a great thing. I think there's ways to be strategic about it. Like there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, so to speak. And realizing what content is not timely or time sensitive is really helpful for that. So an example of what I mean is stories from your past are always great to share. You don't have to, worry about some cultural event if that happened or not. Like you don't have to worry about if it lines up with a holiday. You don't have to worry about what's happening in the news. Any story from your own past is really relevant to any time period right now because people can learn from it. It's not tied to an event that's currently happening, like it already happened. So sharing it whenever you want really doesn't matter time-wise.
When we were using Hootsuite in the past, we haven't used it for a couple of years, but one of the really cool things that we were able to do, two things, hashtags, follow hashtags. So if things came up, you'd see it in your stream. And the other thing, this was awesome, questions. If people were asking questions, you could see it in your stream and you could answer them. And you just got so much engagement that way. It was really great. So, and one of the things that you could do nowadays, and it's free, it's cheap, it's easy to set up, Google Alerts. So if you see that, somebody's talking about a specific phrase or whatever you want, you'll get the alert and then you can respond or just take a look at it. And it'll probably go to Quora. But
yeah, absolutely. Any tools that help you in the area that you want, like if you're looking for more engagement, find an engagement tool. If you're looking to save time, look at time-saving tools. But identify your problems and find technology solutions.
You touched on something just a second ago about time. All right. So not everybody is full-time. Not everybody can spend hours and hours and hours and monitor. But for the people that want to do that, so Kelsey, for example, Kelsey goes out and we're creating a brand. We're creating a personal brand around the look and the feel of this podcast. The colors, the oranges, the blacks, the templates. Yep. That takes time. It's customized, but you don't have to do that to be engaged and get out there with social media. So do you have any recommendations or any thoughts on what new people that don't have the time, that want to do it themselves, that don't want to outsource, what can they do?
Yeah, I mean, I'll bring it back to kind of what I just said. I think sharing stories about who you are and your observations and things that you're learning are the easiest way because it's going to naturally be attached to you personally. Like it's not someone else's, it's your story. It's your opinion. It's your observations. So you don't necessarily have to, create the extra branding tools like the graphics or the images. People will still remember that it came from you. And then also, sharing your analysis around current events that are going on, I think is a really great way to do it because you can just search on Google. You can search any topic and go to the news and see what is the latest news for that topic, pick an article, throw it up. have 2 sentences of your analysis or your opinion on that. And all of a sudden, you're both a curator and a thought leader in the space. So I think if you want to be fast, think about what's the fastest type of content for you to make. Is it commenting on an article, but in your own post? Is it a 30-second video? Like maybe you're good at, throwing up the phone and be like, hey guys, what's up? Today's Monday. I want to share with you guys this thing that's going on in my life, blah, 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 blah. Some people, that's really easy. Some people really hate video or they feel really uncomfortable with it. And maybe they're more graphic design inclined. So making a graphic in Canva, maybe that only takes them 5 minutes and posting that to social media. But what is, your natural talent for creating content and where does that lie? And then dive into that more than thinking about what everyone else is saying that you should do, because your skills are largely going to determine what you're successful at anyways. And even if someone says you should do it this way is the way that works for most people. If you suck at making content that way, like you're never going to be tapping into that potential. So find out what is the potential for you based on your skills and your talents.
I think I've told you before, I really suck at trying to find a good social media manager, except Kelsey, of course. But anyways, what I found is people who are creative. People who do copy are not creative, or vice versa. And then people that can really get in and build engagement. It takes a really special person to have all 3. When you're looking for an agency, what are some of the things that you can ask for, or what can you put into a job description to get that rounded person? It was so hard for me to find. I don't know. I think I'm pretty good at training people or writing a job description. It was very hard. I've probably gone through 50 social media managers. I really suck at that.
Yeah, that's a great question, and something I think have not necessarily struggled with, because I've been looking for help in a different capacity slightly. Mm-hmm. But the general question, I think, can be broken down into and this is the question I would, push people to ask when looking for really any position, but I think a social media manager is a great example of this concept, is what are the things they intrinsically have to have that you can't really teach them? But if they have those elements or those qualities, then the things you will teach them, they're going to pick up really quickly and be really good at it. So with social media, depending on what it is that you want them to do, and probably that's the first step, are what are their roles and responsibilities going to be? Do they have to create the content? Are they managing someone who's creating content? Are they doing writing? Are they coming up with the idea for the writing, but not executing on it? So come up with that list of they have to be able to do these action items. And then for each action item, write down what is the most important component for them to be good at that action item. So for example, with copywriting, I would say, good English writing is probably the main component. Like, how good is their actual writing? And maybe not in a copy sense, but like, can they put together really great sounding sentences? If they can do it in any context, they can probably adapt pretty easily to the context that you're asking them to. If they have issues though with grammar or with the sentence, like just sounding good when they write a sentence, it's going to be really hard to teach that ear for what sounds good. If it's, let's say, content creation, if it's video, have them, create a couple videos and give them the guidelines of, we want this video to make people feel blank. We want this video to make people feel empowered and excited. And then have them create a short video for that and see how well that matched kind of your instructions. But I think coming up with a series of like short tests that really give you the info of how skilled they are intrinsically in these different areas that you need them to execute, that's going to allow you to find the best fit. And then you'll still have to train them on the specific things that you want them to do and what you do like and what you don't like about it. But I think when, finding people to work in positions, it's really a pretty balanced combination of 2 things. 1, their natural skill and talent, and 2, how you're training them and what you're training them in. And then maybe like a third X factor, which I've found to be really helpful, is just making them feel safe and empowered and valuable. For me, That's been a major differentiator between how successful hires or employees have been this year for me versus previous years. Is like an example, when they make a mistake, letting them know, hey, first of all, like, you're doing a great job. Second of all, that's my mistake, not your mistake, because I didn't give you the proper support or instructions. Or let's say it is like fully their mistake, letting them know, like, hey, this is something, like, let's make sure that we double check this area, or let's create a system so this mistake doesn't happen. But also know it's not a big deal. Like, it's totally okay. You don't have to feel bad. Human beings make mistakes. And as long as we're, making adjustments and taking action to fix them, like, it's okay that you make mistakes. Like, don't feel terrible about it. And it's been really surprising to me how big a deal that's been to their performance continually, and certainly also just coming off of mistakes.
That is so important. I talk to a lot of people about training and building SOPs. And when you're building an SOP, whether you're doing, Tomer Rabinovich was on the other day, and he says, basically does a video and he lets his VA create the SOP. I do it a little bit differently. We create the SOP, or we train people to do the SOPs, but we do a million steps. So if somebody has to go and drag their mouse up to the top right corner, we take a screenshot. I mean, it becomes fairly lengthy, but it gives the person the ability to say, oh, on step 19, that's where the mistake happened. And then they come back to you with, how am I going to fix it? And you're absolutely right. If you're going to go and you're going to scream and yell at somebody, when they make a mistake, the first time, all you're doing is just, making them afraid to make mistakes. And they're not going to go and have the initiative go out on their own and try to experiment. So, I mean, that's a really great point. And our system is, okay, you go out, we train, you go out and do it. And if there's a mistake, it's a learning experience. Second part, same thing. You come back to us if there's another mistake. Where was it? Okay, because usually that's on us. The SOP was wrong, or we didn't train properly. If it comes back a second time, okay, how do we fix it? If it comes back a third time, I think we have a problem. So it's either something's drastically wrong with the SOP, or this isn't meant for you. And we'll try to, if it's a good person, we'll try to find another spot for them. But, and that's not overall, like, if we've got 50 SOPs or 400 SOPs, it's not like 3 strikes, you're out. It's on the task. So anyways, that's a really great point. Kels, do we have questions?
Yeah, we got a couple questions. I think we actually have like 5 or 6 coming in.
Okay, very good.
So first of all, I think this is just a question for everyone, too. Has anyone on this chat found sales on TikTok? I've been thinking about getting into it, but I don't know currently. I just use Instagram. So Maayan, how is that for you?
Yeah, I make sales directly from TikTok. I still have people message me through Instagram, or they'll email me because TikTok doesn't have a good kind of messaging platform, in my opinion. But I make sales pretty consistently without trying to. Most of them come from live streaming, though, and a lot fewer of them, I would say, come from posts on my main feed. But when let's say you have a business selling bathroom accessories, going and doing a live stream in your bathroom and showing off the different accessories is a great way to sell product. And with live interaction, people have the ability to ask you questions about the product, to say, where do I get that? You have lots of opportunities to multiple times say, hey, and if you want to check out this bath towel, hit the link in my bio, or, go to bathroomaccessories.com. So live streaming I've found on TikTok as a really powerful component for sales. Now, I do get people asking, where can I buy this on the main feed? But again, there's just not as good a system to direct people to where to purchase from an in-feed post right now. Now, everyone has to remember TikTok is like less than 3 years old, or maybe it's like 3 years old right now. So it's still a baby in its infancy in terms of app life cycle. And it's very likely that in the future, there will be more e-commerce capabilities and features. So I think it's, better to get into something before it blows up than afterwards when everyone's already on it because they know about these features existing. So if you can get in now, build that audience, build that community and those relationships with your audience, then when the capability to add a link to your videos appears, like you're going to immediately be able to cash in on that versus having to then build your audience, be in a much more competitive space, and then be able to, tap into that feature.
And it's so hard to do when you're starting to, tell somebody to get on social media. A lot of Amazon sellers or online sellers kind of think that's secondary or, just down at the bottom. We don't need to do it. We have to concentrate on Amazon. But getting that presence out there and, the website is consistent. Your brand on your social media is consistent. But a lot of people don't take the step because they're worried about building a community. And that was certainly my problem as well, is that, I talked to you about it and I talked to Danny McMillan about it, but I'm talking to myself. I'm out there going live, talking to myself. And this could be like, okay, this is for this podcast, but selling your product. It's the exact same thing. You've got to start with one person, and that could be yourself. And then you'll start to see people grow. And, it doesn't take time before those people in your pet niche or in your gnome niche or whatever it is start to take notice of you. You've got to build that community one step at a time and take advantage of Facebook communities and going out and interacting and finding people and inviting them. If you don't do it, you'll never reap the benefits of it. And I can tell you, that was my deepest, darkest fear doing this, is that Kelsey and I would be just talking to ourselves. And guess what? We were. The first podcast, we might have had one person on. But, and that's something that you told me. Like, I remember going to you and you say, yeah, you just, you might have nobody, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And it's all good practice. Like, even if you're talking to nobody but yourself, when you start, you're not the best that you're going to be. And so getting those early runs or, your worst kind of performances out of the way early on when no one's watching is much better than waiting till you have 1 million people watching and now you're nervous and you've never been on video and you're doing it for the first time. So I like to think a lot about beginning stages of almost anything is just practice to get to the stage that we really want to be at anyways.
So do you know if you can ask Mr. Google to take down the beginning podcasts that are really bad?
I don't know how to use technology that well.
All right, Kels, next question.
Before we get to that, we should talk about our little prize we have today.
Okay, very good.
So Maayan, what do we have today?
Yeah, so I'm going to be giving away a free 30-minute consultation. It can be in any area from social media or a specific social media platform to time management to building team around your business as it's growing. My main business, that's not my glass blowing business right now, which is Champion Empire. We've got a team of 7 people right now. We just started up about 6 months ago and have been scaling internally pretty quickly. Also, our revenue's been growing really nicely, especially in the past 2 months. So I've got a lot of experience in a lot of different places, even outside of social media. And I've learned more in this last year than I have probably in the previous 10 years of doing business. And so I'm just really eager to share and help people out in any way that they need that help or support.
And I can tell you, as a company, we've hired the paid consulting through Maayan. She's excellent. So no freebies. And I can tell you this free paid consultant, you got to take advantage of it, because I'm going to join because I know I had to pay. So
yeah, I'm only doing this for you, Norm.
But it was worth, I got to tell you, it was worth every penny. Maayan knows her stuff, so take advantage of that. And we've already got I Love Maayan coming in. So is that the hashtag, Kels?
Sure. We'll make it I love Maayan.
All right, there we go.
How do people enter this giveaway?
So to enter the giveaway, if you're new to this show, you just need to put in the hashtag I Love Maayan in the comment section, and we'll take all of them and put them into a wheel, and we do a little wheel of Kelsey. Here. But yeah, we'll start with any people that haven't won before, because we have had double winners. So if you haven't won, put I Love Maayan in the comment sections, and yeah, let's see what we get.
Oh, Near.
Looks like
it's late for you, sir.
Tony and Near both entering. I believe Rad's won already, but maybe we'll throw him in. We'll see. And Ket. Very nice. Okay, so question time. Let's see. From Tom, do you recommend starting putting out social content from the get-go or only once sales have been established?
From the get-go, yes. It's actually much more interesting to put out content, I think, before you've accomplished anything, which, again, is not necessarily the common rhetoric around it. But sharing your journey or your adventure or your story, I think, is much more powerful than sharing your accomplishments, despite how social media algorithms behave. And what I mean by that is classically you'll see that any post centered around an accomplishment you've done will get great engagement. Like people love to put a thumbs up or a heart or comment congratulations when you're like, hey, I did this. Hey, I just hit 20,000 LinkedIn followers. Like those posts will do very well. You'll get above average engagement and views on them. That doesn't mean that they're better than posts that get less. And this is, I think, a really important topic for people to understand, that the success of your social media is not dependent on the metrics that you're looking at. Those metrics are a tool to help you understand what's going on, but they do not simply measure success. And saying that you had a post that got 50,000 views doesn't mean you're successfully doing social media marketing or social media content. Because you know what? No one's going to remember that post. Like they're going to forget about it. It didn't bring them any value. And therefore, even if a lot of people saw it and hit the thumbs up, like the only thing that that post does is elevate your authority level, possibly. It also maybe makes you look a little bit self-indulgent or egotistical, I think. Not to say that if you're posting an accomplishment, that means you're an egomaniac or that I'm judging you in a negative sense. I just think you posting about yourself has less value when it's in an accomplishment sense than when you're posting about a story or an experience that you went through, where you're still technically posting about an accomplishment most of the time. Hey, I overcame this hard thing, or hey, this thing happened to me and here's how I dealt with it, or here's what I learned from it. Like learning something is a big accomplishment. Overcoming a challenge is a big accomplishment. I would say even bigger accomplishments than achieving certain numbers or milestones on your social media. And you as a human being watching this right now have many stories, have many things that you've learned, have many accomplishments that you've made in terms of overcoming obstacles. And so focusing more on those than on, hey, we just made $1 million. Like, while that's great and interesting, it doesn't necessarily provide the same level of value as you saying, even, hey guys, I'm just starting my business. I don't have any sales yet, but here's my strategy for how I'm going to go. Here's why I think my product's going to crush it. Here's why I'm even in this business and talking to you guys about this when I have 0 sales. And that is almost like a setup as well for that when you do have accomplishments. Now it's not you just bragging and saying, hey guys, what's up? I got my first sale today. It's you sharing the journey of, hey guys, remember last week when I posted and I didn't have any sales and I was talking about this dream? It's turning into a reality right now. I just got my first sale today. Like, this is so crazy. Stay tuned and follow with me on this journey that I'm on, and really inviting people in to what it is that you're trying to build, what it is you're trying to learn, what it is you're trying to experience is something that brings a lot of value to other people, but also is just super engaging. One of the things that every human being is fighting, maybe not to different degrees, some of us constantly, some of us just in moments, is boredom. We're all fighting the boredom of, the normalcy that our brain builds anything into that is repeated. So no matter how exciting something is at first, when we're exposed to it again and again and again, over time, it becomes boring. This is just how all human beings experience things. So the same thing is certainly true of social media. And most of us have been on social media for years. And even within, let's say, a month, if you're on social media every day, it's going to become very boring in a sense too, in certain senses. Like there's going to be parts that you really gravitate to and get excited by, but a lot of it's going to become dull, mundane, and boring, even if at first it seemed interesting. What never fails to be interesting are great stories. And you as a human being have great stories inside of you. And sharing those is a great way to start building your brand in a way that then can be transferred, leveraged, translated into momentum and success for your business.
Very good. I'm hearing you talk a lot more today about stories. Have you been putting more and more focus on stories?
Great question. So, an interesting thing I would say is actually over the past 3 or 4 months, I've personally been putting less emphasis on stories in an effort to balance out the almost all story content that I did previous to that. So there's always going to be a balance, right? And this also just might be like my thoughts that are wrong. But I thought, you know what? I'm sharing a lot of stories over and over again in a row. I think it's going to be hard for people to remember all these stories versus if I break them up a little bit more with some like purely educational content on like, here's how to do influencer marketing well, or here are 3 tips on how to improve your copywriting. So I started mixing that in a little bit more, and then also trying to talk more about Champion Empire, which is this newer business I started up this year, and really starting to build brand around that, and just sharing also some of the things that I'm more actively learning, which I wouldn't consider to be stories. That's been a little bit more of my shifted focus for the past probably 2 or 3 months.
Oh, okay. All right, Kels, next question, please.
Okay, from Dr. Kaz, in building a new brand, what is your opinion on frequency of social posts?
Yeah, so I think different platforms have kind of different frequencies that they lend to. But I really think if you feel like every piece of content you're writing is good, like post as many as you want and as you can. Now, is there a line at which that becomes inefficient with the algorithm? Yes. But is there a point where content becomes inefficient with someone consuming it? No. Because if someone likes your content, they'll read as much of it as you want to put out. If they don't like it, they're probably not reading it at all. And then, of course, there's people in between. So thinking about, is this individual post going to bring value to the people who like to read my posts is one way to think about it. That's like one type of content. The other type is this a post where new people, if they've never engaged with me before, they're going to read it and all of a sudden follow me. So as long as your content fits into one of those 2 categories, I think post as much of it as you have the energy, as you have the happiness. Don't do things that make you severely unhappy. So if you hate creating social media content, like do it the minimum that you have to do it to get by or to see the results that you're looking for. If you love it though, do it as much as you want.
All right. I always thought there was limits on it.
No, so again, algorithmically, yes, like LinkedIn's not going to give you a huge number of views probably on any of your posts if you post 20 in a day. But in terms of effectiveness on you building brand and building brand with more people, that could be the best strategy. Mm-hmm. Because if someone sees 3 of those posts in a day, 3 of your posts on a platform in one day or sitting is a lot of exposure for that person to then want to be thinking about you. Also, if let's say none of the people who see those posts see multiple posts, then you probably actually reached a much wider audience. And that's really good too. So I don't think there's huge amounts of downside to creating so much content that the algorithm goes like, whoa, you should not create so much content. Unless what you're looking for are the metrics and the pure virality that you can then leverage to talk about. So if what you're going for with your strategy is, I want to create viral posts so that then in my next posts, I can talk about the viral posts I created, then you probably don't want to do that strategy of volume, which that's a legitimate strategy to have one viral post on a platform and then have other posts that talk about how it went viral, why it went viral, and what that means about the quality of your brand. But I think with most people, it's hard to intentionally create viral content. So it's better to do a volume model where you know that the posts have quality and value that are being delivered to your audience. Then it doesn't matter how many people that value is delivered to. It's 3 more people, even if it's 3 people. But it brought those 3 people a high enough level of value where now they're fans of your brand. They'll use your services. Again, if that was every post, why wouldn't you want to do 20 posts in a day that each got you 3 new customers? Like, come on, if any of us could do 20 posts that got us 60 customers a day, like we'd be doing that for sure. I think a lot of us just don't realize that that's a reality and a potential when you create content that has value.
Okay, I've got a question for you. I had a friend of mine talk to me the other day. He's got a brand. He launched social media. He actually has a podcast that he's been doing. And he said, he sent me over a site and he said, you got to join this site. It will get you natural views, natural followers, and he said it's, between $50 to $300 a month. He says, I've been able to get, I don't know what it was, like 1,500 or 4,000 followers. Different channels had different amounts. What do you think about those types of services that get you these fake followers?
Yeah, I always like to ask how they work. Like, how are they achieving the views and getting the followers? I've yet to come across one where in a direct business sense, it made sense. Where they do make sense is what I just talked about. Like, if you're looking to leverage the number of followers that you have or the growth, which you can do, again, because of how most people think about social media. If you tell someone, hey, we just grew our Instagram by 5,000 followers, they're going to be impressed. They're not automatically going to think, how did you do that? Are those real? Like, they're not going to analyze or scrutinize it the way that it kind of immediately would. So if that's what you're going for, like, then that's super valuable to you. If what you're going for are creating community and creating followers who are paying attention to you and care about what you're posting, it's probably not the best way to go. And the reason I say that is I know that a lot of these platforms, the way that they work is you have to sign on, and then basically you're liking or sharing or commenting on other people's posts, and however many people's posts you comment on, you're getting a return number of engagement from random people that their AI is kind of like scrambling and telling, people to post on your comments based on how many comments you've posted on someone else's account. So that to me is not valuable. While it may look good on the surface, beneath the surface, none of those people want to buy my product. None of them want to support it. Now, is there a chance based on your content that people who start out randomly liking or commenting on your post actually do then like the content? Yes. So I think there's value in that sense. Like, it might be interesting as an experiment for you to find out how many of those people actually care about your content naturally. So what I mean by that, as an example, is if I was going to sign up for one of these services with my glass blowing account, a lot of them are probably commenting or liking the photo or the video, the post, because of this software, this program. But also maybe, let's say 20% of them, once they're on the page and they've hit the heart, they go, oh, actually, this is pretty cool. Let me check out some more of her posts and photos. And then all of a sudden, they are a legitimate, real follower. And the software or the tool was just almost like a discovery boost more than it is a follower boost or a like boost. In that case, I really like that. But I think you have to, test out and experiment and be able to understand whether or not that's happening.
What about with lists? So let's say that you're selling shampoo and conditioner and you have a list of 20,000 people. Would you ever go to Facebook ads and try to draw them in, try to bring back your customers through Facebook ads?
Do you mean who are already on your list, like retargeting?
Yeah,
them?
they're already on the list and they may not be part of your Facebook group yet, but you want to get in front of their feed. So you go into Facebook ads, you have to load their list, and then you start targeting those 20,000 people.
Yeah, I mean, I think depending on the price point of the item you're selling and how much the Facebook ads are going to end up costing for you to get to that point of sale. Also depending on, is your goal to increase sales or is your goal primarily to increase your community, knowing that if someone's in your community, their lifetime customer value is much higher than if you just sell them a bar of soap through a Facebook ad. Like, it's really important for you to understand all these different factors, which I think, classically people will talk about as, customer acquisition cost, customer lifetime value cost, but also you understanding the value of your own brand and how that's calculated, I think is something really interesting that people don't talk about. But we see happen all the time when brands are sold, that a brand will be sold for, X billion dollars when its sales are, 100 million, or its sales are not anything close to make the valuation that big based solely off of sales, but it's because they've built this brand, and the brand has this value and this equity in it based on the community, based on the quality of the followers that it engages with, based on the quality of those customers, and certainly also like the lifetime value of those customers. And if in the sense of buying and purchasing a brand, which I think is a great context to think about valuations, how they're going to figure that out is by thinking, is this someone who's a customer solely because they need the product or the service, or are they a customer of this brand for life? Because if they're a customer of your brand for life, there's a lot of value that you're going to get from them, a lot of sales, a lot of money that you can't even predict yet, because you don't know what your next product's going to be. You don't know what future services or ways that you're going to monetize are going to come out. And so there's all this like mysterious potential value that exists because in the lifetime of a person, so many new products, services, values can be created that you can then monetize through. So I think, are you thinking short term, like I need this number of sales by this year? I would even say short term, do I need this number of sales by 5 years from now? I'd say 5 years and under is short term thinking in terms of building brand. If you're thinking a decade or more down the line in terms of the value, that's where I would evaluate it differently than if you're more focused on the 5 years and closer type of results.
All right. Very good. Kelsey.
So it is about 10 minutes to a bit after that, and Maayan has to get going. She has a meeting at 1.
Yep.
So we probably don't have time for questions, any more questions, if we want to round it out. So I was thinking we can do the wheel now, and Maayan will be back, though, I believe, in the next 2 months. She'll be coming back on the show. So I'll log all the questions and we'll put them into the script for the next time. As well, we also have other social media guests coming on as well, so we can always ask those questions too. And if you want to post them into the group, the Facebook group, we can answer them too there as well. So there's
Perfect.
Tons of different ways. So let's do the wheel and get this started.
Wheel of Kelsey.
Yeah, so I think we got 4 people in today. Maybe in the new year we can start giving out the double prizes again. But for now, we got Tony, Nir, Ankit, and Oleg. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Okay, Tony.
All right.
Congratulations.
Tony Sagar?
That's right. He's
all right.
A former guest on the show. Okay, and yeah.
So best way to claim the prize is to reach out to Kelsey.
Yes, that's right. You can reach me at k@lunchwithnorm.com, and yeah, we'll get you hooked up with Maayan.
All right, very good. Well, Maayan, you're off the hook. That's it. Done.
Well, this was great. And if anyone has any other questions for me, they can reach out to me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, or straight to my email, which is my first name, Maayan, @championempire.net.
All right. And if you're looking for any consulting or any other services with Maayan, please reach out to her. Like I said, our company has reached out. We've got some great information. And she knows what she's doing. So it'll be straightforward, straight from the hip, and she doesn't hold back. But anyways, it's a great service. Do you want to plug anything else? Because, you're such a great guest. If you have any other types of promotions, where else can people get you?
Yeah, I have a free weekly coaching group that meets. We mostly talk about how to increase your influence, whether you see yourself as an influencer or not. If you're in business, influence deeply matters. And that meets every Thursday at 4 p.m. PST. And you can sign up for that group for free on my website. It's maayangordonmedia.com/office hours. And I'll get the link for that over to Norm so he can post it in the comments or in the group.
All right. Very good. I know you got to get going. So thank you so much for being on the podcast today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right. See you later. Bye. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoy the podcast today. Isn't she great? I just love her knowledge and her enthusiasm, her passion for what she does. But all right, if you get a chance, if you haven't joined the group and gone in and listened to the secret podcast, which was Dave McKean, anyways, you got to listen to that. But even more so, his partner, Pemba Sherpa, is on I Know This Guy. It was released this week. It is already one of the most popular views that we have on YouTube. So check it out. Pemba goes back. Like, this is incredible. We talk about this. We try to talk to people about brand. Pemba lives his brand. And Dave, the CEO, lives the brand. Pemba went back to his community and built a bridge in Nepal so he could cut the time school kids have to walk 3 hours to school to 45, and also the same bridge that washed away one of his friends. He also went back and set up hydroelectricity for the village that had none, and adopted a few children, brought over a bunch of other people from Nepal, Sherpas, employed them in his restaurant at the beginning. They started to adopt people. They just believe that it's from the top down. And he is an incredible individual. Dave's an incredible individual. If you want a really incredible story, listen to I Know This Guy this week and hear how they built this brand. But anyways, Kelsey, where are you?
Hello. Yes, thank you for watching, everyone. It was great. Yeah, we got a big turnout, lots of questions, lots of people. People love Maayan here. So that's awesome. She will be back, so don't worry. Yeah. And so our Facebook group, it's thriving. We're doing great. We're building that community organically. It's taking its time, but I think it's well worth it with what we've achieved so far. And
it's everybody in the community. It's all about engagement. So, we do our best to answer the questions. Sometimes we can take them and bring them into the podcast. But yeah, it's all about you.
That's right. So you can go right to this link. You can join. It's great. And we look forward to meeting you guys. And yeah, we're on a podcast. So Apple, Spotify, anywhere you listen to your podcast, you can find us. And if you're just catching the end of this, you can always go to the YouTube channel, Norman Farrar, and you'll be able to get all the full videos, highlights, anything you need.
All right. So come this Friday, we're going to be joined with serial entrepreneur Stephen Selikoff. And I think you're going to be learning a lot about just the current state of retail and different hybrid e-commerce channels. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a great podcast. I hope. I'm the host, so I have to say that. But no, but you know what? It's going to be great. We're going to be touching on subjects a lot of people aren't talking about. So I think that's about it. Kelsey?
Yeah, I'm just going to post Maayan's Instagram and LinkedIn handle here.
Yep.
And yeah, so just check back in a couple minutes after we ended the broadcast, and you should be able to find it.
All right. And because of Maayan, smash those likes, subscribe, ring a bell, all that.
Ring a bell.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay.
All
and
right.
that's it for today. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Please join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Eastern Standard Time at noon, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Lunch with the